근데 아니 다바지 nghệ 그런 참아 순사위도 상nghệ 다바지 아니 거진 제된 도지시 슈가 되지 임바자.
The way I feel right now is that all of the other speakers have said exactly what I wanted to say. And it seems that the only thing left for me to say is to thank you all for your kindness.
지전에 나란단 대회 스토리는 주제 안에 거진 제된 소화된 전국유서.
That's all. But maybe in the spirit of appreciating the kindness of you all, I could share with you a little story about myself.
나한테서 상물로 랭게 상물도 민자외 안에 구유제 나로래야 상로 충분히 차디하래. 나 중두 안에 파지 나 개바네 정신 기능주 상물로 정말에 저리체 상물로지 나 통도스 안에 들이 뉴상아 중두 안에 샘 나로래야 템퍼처리야 그 중두네 돌로마도 교인데비치 나 정도스 상면지 가수에 지 가수에 지 자체로 쓰대야지 정도스
That's all. From the time I was very young onward, I was given a lot of different responsibilities. And it always seemed to me when I was young that everything was laid out before me. All of the plans for me were already made. I was given the clothes that I needed to wear and told where I needed to be, given these very precious and holy-looking robes to wear with the understanding that it was something sacred or important.
나로 dünya level 거리야. and searching group Karmapa 쟁게. 그래서 아직 그룹 level. 고슬래제네. 근데 얘들 이제 바제 아바다 아무 고스 계시입니다. 쟤네. 아니 결혼 Karmapa 아, 남사. 공부를 안 좋아했어. 근데 미마부정 알아야 계절진이 원데도 급디도 안에는 결혼이야 초와 컨트롤 중스 컨트롤이 Karmapa 레스도 상 컨트롤 초와 중스 그래서 초와 스케미도 Karmapa 상 지잖아 지怎么 먹어야 봐 가보시다 유기를 sometimes
But before that kind of formal lifestyle happened for me, I was living in eastern Tibet with my family, and when I was 7 years old, all of a sudden, a search party arrived at my home. They were looking for the next Karmapa, and I noticed they were talking to my mom and dad, and the news came to me that they were telling me that I was the Karmapa. And these days, people ask me a lot, how did that feel? How did that feel when they came and whisked you away and your lifestyle completely changed? And what I mostly say is that at that time, it was a pretty interesting idea to me. I thought that things would be pretty fun and there would be more things to play with.
이미네 니주도 원에 전에다 리차요 말았어. 나 Karmapa 차이 두사는 걸리 가수에 소수에게 보유 네 카테제 아니 파마다 카테제 아니 아장기다 traditional 가수에다 루스 수균 기타 루스 당부에 대해 공변 나눠 직수직 나눠야 대체 아장기다 적부 아주 미지당부는 시체는 적부이나 두레미야 딱 간다 그게 가수에다 스트레치는 시 아주 배게 계시하다 배 스트레치는 시 대오레스 드리스가 왔다 군전은 시바 대오레스고 제장 다드리시 두산에 섬려야 아니 Karmapa 두산에 지 긴구르여 버지당 아다나시 Karmapa 차데 레라고 민비치 소수의 파마다 카테 다나시 망고치 르동고요 현수
But it didn't turn out to be so fun and entertaining as I thought it would have been. I was placed in a pretty strictly controlled environment, and immediately a lot of different responsibilities in terms of my education and so forth were heaped upon me. I was separated largely from my family, including my mother and father. I didn't have many personal friends to spend time with, but I was expected to perform these prescribed duties. So it turned out that my fantasy about an entertaining life of being the Karmapa wasn't going to come true. It more felt to be the case to me that I was being treated like a statue, and I was to sit in one place like a statue would.
Okay. 다 인비네야. 가서에 지 밤에 자와당 다나시 생기 자와디 텔레 카체베 삼바르게 용문도스. Even 베니스 and 로주시 순백거리야 and 베니스 페브레 주사나네 수수 방만도 뷰지에다 안다나시 다 저보다 보유의 상물로 그게 장준불이야 사실 표현을 당동이네 고주다 자와의 바당 에너지 고주 가수다 거딩기 지더버디 섬리아 유버치 초도스.
Nevertheless, I felt that even though I've been separated from my loved ones, and of course now I'm even further away. When I was 14, I escaped from Tibet and became even further removed from my mother and father, my relatives, my friends, and my homeland. But nevertheless, there's no real sense of separation from me in my heart in terms of the love that I feel for these people. I feel still a very strong connection of love for all of these people and for the land.
삼성에 아말라리아 가왔던요. 가왔던 주사네. 근데 가봤던 신비기 때문에 second 리리리아 수수디 자와촌 가서 제외 뉴버디 다른 분을 줄리게 여버집지다. 근데 가서 동동이네 셈리아
And I still do get to keep in touch with my mother and father, albeit infrequently. I talk to my mother once in a blue moon on the telephone, and my experience is that when I'm talking to her, with every second that passes during our conversation, the feeling of love that binds us is bringing us closer and closer together.
드링에 대해 가르쳐 섬르스나 땅앙 소아르스랭에 다 다대진 좀불린디 아니 외베 야게 시란 주요하래 아니 다나시 좀불린디 아주 빈수 벤다 테드는 시체네 빈수 미망고지 내야 도제는 가르쳐 돈좀 채하다 안 적봉 것이 자기 고급 망도망도 주가래 아시다가 예스 이비냐 아주기 에너지 치기 넘규르당 치기 야게 점메바 아주 도난 채과지 섬리야 마제베 채과데 가르스나 지기데 예섬리야 아주 낭심기 에는 제바당 라버도 아주 베네트 the design of chiabi bine azu sem design ya tonan che kwa ta na shin pe na ji technology de ji bine sem ki technology de le ya tonan che kwa de sida khe chum de song dos.
So those were just a few remarks about my personal background, and in terms of other things that I wanted to share with you in terms of ideas, I think it's wonderful to have a situation like this where so many people from different backgrounds and places can come together, exchange their ideas, and form relationships of friendship with each other. And I think that's symbolic of what we're seeing in the world in general, that the world is becoming smaller and smaller, and that all of the peoples in the world are enjoying more opportunities for connection. That's wonderful, but we should also remember that we should have a similar process happening on the inside. Along with outward development and increase of opportunity, there should be inward development and deepening of our heart connections as well as our outward connections. So we spoke and we heard some about design this week. I think that it's important for us to remember that we need to keep pushing forward on the endeavor of the design of the heart. We heard a lot about technology this week, and it's important for us to remember to invest a lot of our energy in improving the technology of the heart.
지당 아주 성으로 이념도 좋아 고급 방법 중요하다. 저분이 총총 중요할 때 이번에 전동 아주 생각 나로리아 핀수 셈다 니버차리아 파르도 주어버 챙게 드브르 챙게 지보 방법에 소도스.
So even though I'm somewhat happy about the wonderful developments that are happening in the world, still I feel a sense of impediment when it comes to the ability that we have to connect with each other on a heart-to-heart or a mind-to-mind level. I feel that there are some things that are getting in the way.
지당 되게 미신달이야 저버지도사는 셈리야 닝대 저버차 뭐시 지당 포지션 기금구마부에서 같이 intelligent 제고레스 마도 저랑 연가 여러서 애들이 용디도 간다야 가다 셈대지 저버차 지기스 ben 근데 인도산에 ben 팅지량아 아프가니스탄의 용계에네 그룹 지도버래
맞아
구성 아주 계속
맞아 My relationship to this concept of heart-to-heart connection or mind-to-mind connection is an interesting one because as a spiritual leader, I'm always attempting to open my heart to others and offer myself up for heart-to-heart and mind-to-mind connections in a genuine way with other people. But at the same time, I've always been advised that I need to emphasize intelligence over the heart-to-heart connections because being someone in a position like mine, if I don't rely primarily on intelligence, then something dangerous may happen to me. So it's an interesting paradox at play there. But I had a really striking experience once when a group from Afghanistan came to visit me, and we had a really interesting conversation.
아주 뒤고래야 계속래. berlin 부터 맞아요.
맞아.
부터 지와 또 부터 지와.
맞아.
먼저 뒤고래야 계속래. 주도사는 nghệ 초에 나로리아. 지당기 아니 근데 무슬림 출루리비나 아니 믹스에 가서 군자스케요 말바다.
맞아.
저우스케요 말바.
맞아.
군조디 다 수수 맞을 봐.
No.
아니 근데 남배기 아니 수수 주베 다 가르쳐래. 덤바질이야 대구치기 알아. 또 이미네 지체비나 아니 디가 주기 다 상기 군저도야디 아주 디 자민롱마디 강한지 부주와.
No.
가서 berlin
나지.
월스 맞지. 대는 시간 대 도와를 대네 지지는 아주 핀주 무슬림당 다나시 남부 핀주 원내전에 지기지 세부 통하지리야. 다디 부단도 장도 chen. 디 도와를 대네 세부 통하지. 자와요레스.
맞아.
데셰빈스. 드린도 상에 섬리야 그도 이미네 아주 셈기 셈리야 이제차디 개치슈디 아니 튠초 positive.
맞아.
근데 토하는 아주 자와야당 셈리야 지리야 아니 가수에 토지자의 개침시라는 성도스.
맞아. So we ended up talking about the Bamiyan Buddhas, which, as you know, were destroyed some years ago in Afghanistan. But the basis of our conversation was a different approach to spirituality on the part of the Muslim and Buddhist traditions. Of course, in Muslim, because of the teachings around the concept of idolatry, you don't find as many physical representations of divinity or of spiritual liberation as you do in the Buddhist tradition, where, of course, there are many statues of the Buddha that are highly revered. So we were talking about the differences between the traditions, and what many people perceived as the tragedy of the destruction of the Bamiyan Buddhas. But I offered the suggestion that perhaps we could look at this in a positive way. What we saw in the destruction of the Bamiyan Buddhas was the depletion of matter, some solid substance falling down and disintegrating. Maybe we could look at that to be more similar to the falling of the Berlin Wall, where a divide that had kept two types of people apart had collapsed and opened up a door for further communication. So I think that in this way, it's always possible for us to derive something positive that can help us understand one another better.
Today in Lusana, and Mazu draw me, yeah, and it is some Jew, Namju Yevdi. Azu Tras, Kashu, Mubu Yagan of Jiradi, Kashu, the Zambulin Deliabe, Kashu, Kurda, Jibumimba, Azuji, Detan, Yeve, Maumbasidang, and then Joa Tamzilia, Gunyumgi, and then Kashu, Zambulin Tuyag, Bezushawati, as the Miss Samju Jenki, that language over Jim Batlian, Dushiki years.
Lasso. So, with regard to the development that we've been talking about here at this conference, I really feel that the development that we make shouldn't create a further burden for us as human beings, but should be used to improve our fundamental lifestyle of how we live in the world.
Bena, these are Gagomobile Bene, Jagan of Ginande. Should I get down to order? Should I have orders? That you mean I do some time where the Yagi sympathy, Suegi, Archer and so the natural resources that day, Mambuchi Pigeon to Yavati. Then do Sane, I do Zawa, Porni, Zemolia, and Julia Mabchi. That is in Beijing. The need to sign an answer to the sincere motivations. That day, that's some number gone. I do need you cashier. 아주 신기한 말에 이번에 내주 가시 시비냐 아주 돌려 될래야 도나마 집에 내주 시다만 차디요. 베나 가산 베나 가수에 단저분이 돌려 지 부메 망부지 가수에 지 강에도 동해 내당 망부지나 잘되버디 미망부 신기하래 이번에 될래야 저 학습 남다 꾸는 랑네 지 가수에 지 소수의 바 지금 돈이야 총지 랑기 쿨라야 지금 근데게 맵 근데 두사 디 맵을 주는 때네 아니 초지는 아주 저분이디 야견 쪽이어데 초지네 아니 아주 자와디 가수에다 맵아 자와디 투시 쪽이어데 지금 두사한테는 군요 맵이 니주 차디요 밸런스 맵
라서 Of course, I rejoice in the development and the growth and the rise of the noble land of India, the great country of India. But at the same time, I think, as some of us have acknowledged, we need to be aware that some aspects of this rise are coming at the cost of the very ground on which we stand. So as we are climbing the tree, some of the things that we're doing in order to climb the tree are actually undermining the tree's very root. And so what I think it comes down to is a question of not only having information of what's going on, but paying attention to that and letting that shift our motivation to become more sincere and genuinely positive. We have heard this week about the horrible sufferings, for example, that so many women of the world are enduring day to day. We have that information, but what often happens to us is that we don't really choose to pay attention to it. We don't really choose to allow that to cause there to be a shift in our heart. So I think the way forward for the world, one that will bring the path of outer development in harmony with the real root of happiness, is that we allow the information that we have to really make a change in our heart.
근데 뉴스안에 아주 happiness 되게 있어야 돼. 아주에지 아주 비자첨부 benede 가르쳐 모르지 부르체 안다는 감부지 부르체 자기 아부르지 여비나 and happiness 요아데 깔아하셔야 so 되게 자와데 아주지 랑게 셈 셈리아 아니 아주지 sincere motivation 되게 다 간다 다데 에너지 나와 가르는 게 여비네 들량 아주 에너지 가르쳐 띵사별거네 좋아래야다 아니 들이야 가르치 셈냠을 좋아하디 개춤시다차디 알아성도스.
So I think this sincere motivation is very important for our future well-being, our deep sense of well-being as humans. And I think that means sinking in to whatever it is you're doing now. Whatever work you're trying to do now to benefit the world, sink into that, get a full taste of that.
Today, du sandari nima kashi rinlia azu de TED conference soje. Di nalo liang azu wuki gyua dongcha mang bu qin ya res. Ada kashi azu gyua chama de zole ya not pay attention ge yo ma res. Azu kadi yimi de digi sa be chambu ru ji dang be impressive. Today de ji kona ru sha de ya res. Ngone chebi yimi na ane digi de 아주 우기교와 참무 춘지에네 영원대버진버디.
나서.
시도.
So since we've been here this week, we've taken millions of breaths collectively, and perhaps we haven't witnessed any course changes happening in our lives. We often miss the very subtle changes, and I think that sometimes we develop grand concepts of what happiness might look like for us. But that if we pay attention, we can see that there are little symbols of happiness in every breath that we take.
르르려야 캡투가 지나 안다나신 내는 유에데베당 청로 오늘 가서 이제 라섬 유에데베당 참지 유에데베당 다나신 에네베 시다기 지신유 당 안에 남주 친구 유에데베 경경패 어디니 두상 아주다 단제기 소수기 토리아다 가서 이제 개바 삼벽이 오늘 딘데지 라도 가서 다 덴드비 차견 삼부지 라도 련바디 아주 점불린다 마음의 체도 아니 소소 리게 피네 간다지 소소기 아니 참바다 자와디 아니 모투에지 점불린이야 치시바 네트에 아니 가수 나로나 맞아 답았어
맞아. So every one of you who has come here is so talented, and you have so much to offer to the world. I think it would be a good note to conclude on then, to just take a moment to appreciate how fortunate we are to have come together in this way and exchanged ideas, and really form a strong aspiration and energy within ourselves that we will take the good that has come from this conference, the momentum, the positivity, and we will spread that and plant it in all of the corners of the world.
아니 다리데 럭키미 아주 공기 가수에 시락 배주 제정한데야 깨담 제가 시락 가보죠 가서 담보 대스야 아니 르부데 버샤미도 참바르 보듯이 아니 미주랑 가르 참바 봐야 김선 가르스 tomorrow is my talk 제상 들으실라이 제상 간다 공시나 배주 제부터 시락 가보죠 안데 영화대 상으로 도야대 공기 거리는 데는 정말 세상에 이다만 두제나 샤이스.
Lakshmi has worked incredibly hard even in inviting me, let alone everything else that she has done to make this happen. And I was somewhat resistant at times. And I was also very nervous throughout this week. I was feeling under the weather and dizzy and so forth, and people would ask me why. I would tell them it's because I have to talk tomorrow. So Lakshmi had to put up with me through all of that, but I very much appreciate the opportunity she's given me to be here.
And
And
thank you.
to you, everyone, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.